Hey, North Shore Pump, with all the political and financial turmoil in the world right now, are you wondering how that's affecting our hyper-local real estate market? We're going to break that down in your May 2025 Housing Market Update. Tariffs, federal worker layoffs, wild swings in the stock market, lions, tigers, bears, oh my, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And I've had a lot of people lately that have been asking me, hey, Chris, how is this affecting our local real estate market? And what we're going to attempt to do in this video today is to break that down for you, to give you some perspective. Specifically, I'm going to weigh heavy on factoids, on data, as opposed to sound bites, opinions, with the wind whispered in my ear. Let's jump right into it. All right, so as you can tell, we certainly like to have some fun and make light of certain things, but there's definitely some smart people that are predicting that we could be heading into a recession at some point this year. Mark Zandi, chief economist for Moody's Analytics, in his opinion says we have a 35% chance entering into US recession at some point this year. Specifically with regard to real estate, interesting enough, 70% of Americans in a recent survey said that they are concerned about a potential housing market crash 2025. That's certainly not a small number of people. You might be within that top 25, or that 70% rather, that is thinking that we could be heading into a housing market crash this year. All right, so first and foremost, historically, what do we know about recessions with regard to the real estate market? Well, what I can tell you is in the last six recorded recessions, in only two of those last six recessions have we seen where housing prices have gone down. In 1991, we saw very minor depreciation, about home values went down 2% roughly. And of course, everybody remembers 2008 when we saw roughly 20% home price depreciation across the country. That's kind of the big scary one that everybody remembers. You might be saying, hey, Chris, this feels a lot like 2008 though. Like I remember that housing seemed like was all the craze, like home prices were jumping up at a pretty good clip. And I totally get it. What I would submit to you though, is that recession was, there was two distinct factors as part of that housing recession. Number one, we were overbuilding homes. So there was simply an oversupply of homes over and above the current at that time need for housing. Secondly, there were a lot of bad lending practices where there were a lot of folks that shouldn't have been getting loans. They were getting loans and they were getting very high loan to value loans with minimal equity, minimal down payments. So you had a lot of folks that were in houses that didn't really pay much, if anything, to get into those houses. So it was very easy for those folks to walk away from those properties when values started to crash, simply because they had no financial skin in the game when it came to those mortgages. So compared to 2008, I would submit to you, we're in a much different spot. If you look at the graphic, you'll see that we are finally returning to 2009 levels of new construction. So we've had a 14-year deficit where we've basically underbuilt new construction, and we're finally just kind of getting back to equilibrium, which is great that new construction is kind of leading the charge, meeting the current housing demand. However, we went through that 14-year period where we underbuilt homes. So we're still basically in that deficit. We simply don't have enough homes to meet the current demand in the marketplace. And then also, thankfully, Americans kind of learned their lesson from 2008. So Americans by and large are in a very good equity position. Over 70% of homes in the United States today are either owned free and clear or have more than 50% equity. So the balance sheet of the US homeowner is in a much different spot and in a very financially strong spot, I would submit to you. All right, so what we do know about recessions though is recessions typically equal, mortgage rates coming down, or we typically see mortgage rates coming down during recessions. So a lot of the smart folks were predicting even before there were talks of recession that we were going to continue to see rates tick down. But I think if we head into a recession, it's all the more likely that we're going to see mortgage rates come down. Now, here's what the smarty pants people are predicting for 2025 values. And keep in mind, this is on a national scale. So as you can see, we have 23 of the top forecasters of real estate values, and 21 of those 23 are all predicting that we're going to see price appreciation this year. So basically values going up, and only two of those are predicting depreciation or home values going down. And the most negative of the bunch, Morgan Stanley, is only predicting 2% depreciation this year. So even the folks that think that home values are going to go down are saying if they go down, they'll go down very minimally. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, Chris, that is all great. National news is great, but what about our hyper-local North Shore Pump market? Well, let's look at the numbers. So by and large, we've cooled off a little bit from this time last year. I would submit to you, we're still in a very hot market in North Shore Pump. So if we look at our median sales price year to date is $635,000, which is down 5.5% from where we were this time last year, but it is up from 2023. The number of pending sales, basically the number of homes going under contract year to date, is down down 5.6% year over year. So we're seeing a little bit of a decline as far as the number of homes going under contract. Our days on the market is up from 7 to 11 days, which, you know, at the end of the day, 11 days is still a very quick time for homes to go under contract on median. Sellers are currently getting 99.5% of their asking price on average, as opposed to the 100% on average that they were getting this time last year. And if that's you, no, I don't feel sorry for you that you're getting half a percentage point less than you were last year. And last but not least, month supply of inventory has grown, but we're still at 1.4 month supply of inventory. Friendly reminder, month supply of inventory is the metric that we track that basically tells us whether or not we're in a seller's market or a buyer's market. 6 months supply of inventory is considered a neutral market. Anything above that is the technical definition of a buyer's market. Anything below that is the technical definition of a seller's market. So at 1.4 months supply of inventory, not only are we in a seller's market, we're still in an extreme seller's market in our North Shore pump area. So in short, we have a long way to go before we even hit a neutral market, much less a buyer's market or a depreciating market in our local area. So what does this all mean to you? Well, I'm going to give you the 3 tips that we're currently giving to our seller clients, as well as the 3 tips that we're currently giving to our buyer clients. So number 1, for our sellers, one of my favorite quotes from Mr. Warren Buffett is, "Be greedy when others are fearful." So one of the dynamics that we're seeing right now is, with all the angst in the world about financial markets, the political, arena, is we're seeing even less sellers that are willing to put their homes on the market just due to the angst. We were already in a low inventory situation, and we're all the more in a lower inventory situation just because you have that much less folks that are willing to put their home on the market. But that creates a unique opportunity for those that are willing and able to put their homes on the market, because they're one of that many less homes that are currently available for buyers to purchase, and there's still a good amount of buyer demand out there in the marketplace. Secondly, if it's not compelling, it's not selling, or at least at a premium price. So what we're seeing in the marketplace right now is, if you have a cream puff, which is a very technical term for a property that is turnkey, that's ready to go, that's, staged well, that looks well, that presents well, it's priced right, those homes are still selling quickly. They're still selling, a lot of times in multiple offer situations, a lot of times over the asking price. The properties that are maybe not doing as hot, they're still selling, they're just not getting as great a results, are the folks that are just putting their home on the markets kind of as is. They're not doing the prep work. They're just kind of throwing their house out there and getting what they can get. And keep in mind, those homes are still selling. They're just not selling at the premium prices that they could had they, done a little bit of prep work to put it on the market. Tip number 3 is, beat the summer slump. So what we know in our hyper local North Shore pump market is, once the kids get out of school on May the 31st this year, typically we enter into a little bit of a summer slump where the market doesn't come to a screeching halt, but it does slow down a little bit, just because you have a lot of buyers that, are going on vacation or doing other things, kind of taking a break from the home search. We just see the market slow down. So if you are wanting to sell your home this spring, I would encourage you to get your home on the market no later than May 31 to beat that summer slump. For my buyers, rates are in flux currently, but they are still scheduled to come down. So we've been seeing rates, jump up and down a quarter, a half a point recently. Just with everything going on in the financial markets, the rates have been fluctuating a little bit. However, experts are still predicting that rates are going to go down long term, so that is good news for buyers. Secondly, prices are continuing to rise. So if you are somebody that is sidelining yourself or waiting for rates to come down, keep in mind that is scheduled to happen. However, prices are continuing to appreciate, and all signs are leaning towards them continuing to appreciate. So you could be buying in 6 months, 12 months at a lower rate. You're also going to be buying more than likely at a higher price. And then last but not least, cream puffs are still competitive. So once again, our very technical term for a property that is turnkey, that is really nice, that presents well, those homes are still very competitive. So keep in mind, if you're out there shopping and you see a cream puff, it is more than likely going to be a competitive situation, more than likely going to go above the asking price. So just be prepared. If you would like to get one of those under contract, you're going to have to pony up when it comes to that offer. So guys, that was your May 2025 housing market update. Hopefully that helped you out. If there are any questions, concerns I didn't address, feel free to hit reply, comment below, shoot me a DM wherever you're seeing this. If we can help you with your home purchase or home sale, shoot me a DM, give me a call. We'd love to be of assistance. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next month.